topic. Welcome to the other side of grief. Now, today's topic kind of piggybacks off yesterday's topic about releasing memories. And I talked about a good way to do that is through writing. A really powerful way to do that is through writing. Releasing and not taking on the baggage, being really intentional about what you're packing with you for this next level, for the next destination. And so today, when I talk about the other side of grief, it's because a lot of people don't think that there is another side. We can't see it in the moment. When things first happen, we don't see that there's any possible way that anything else could happen, that any other outcome could be other than sadness and just hopelessness. And I always talk about the words that we speak. Last night, before I went to sleep, I saw this TikTok about, it was a story of how this band came to be. And the band, in the end, being Linkin Park. And I remember I grew up in a white neighborhood, so I remember knowing about Linkin Park and hearing about them and the rock music and all the other stuff. But I didn't know the story behind it. And at the end, it said rest in peace to one of the band leaders. And so I went and I Googled the band leader. I wanted to know, what happened to him. And it turns out he died by suicide. And then there was one point where he talks about a friend that he had. And the friend that he had also died by suicide. And I was like, how peculiar. And it turns out that friend died by suicide about 2 months before he died by suicide. And I was like, how peculiar. Because they died in the same way, by hanging. And I'm like, I feel like there's a connection here. Well, as I read further, I found out that he had committed suicide on the day of what would have been his friend's birthday. And something interesting he said when his friend died was that he couldn't picture himself in a world without his friend. He couldn't see it. He couldn't see what life could be without his friend. And this is why I say to be mindful of the words that we say, because as he declared that he couldn't see himself in a world without his friend, well, within 2 months, on his friend's birthday, or what would have been, according to the source, of course, he also took his life the exact same way. And so it really showed me, one, that sometimes the things that we say kind of they manifest in the ways that, not necessarily in the way that we say it, but they manifest in the things that we're talking about. But number two, that grief, what I've been saying, grief is a spirit, and it can become so heavy that it blinds us to any type of future, any type of possibility of a different reality. I remember that there was one time when I was praying, and I became very mute. I became so quiet. It was like I was trying to speak, but no words were coming out. My voice had been snatched from me at the time. And the people around me were praying, and they're asking, is this, is that, is this? And someone said, is it the spirit of grief? And I shook my head, yes, because that's what it was. And then they started praying for the spirit of grief to be released. And after a bit, I was able to talk again. And I was able to tell them what happened. And I was like, as out of nowhere, it was like this thing tried to shut me up. It wanted to silence me. It wanted to keep me down. It didn't want me to be in a space of breakthrough and happiness. It wanted company. You know how we say misery loves company? Grief wanted company. It wanted to accompany depression. It wanted to accompany oppression. It wanted to accompany anxiety and panic attacks. And it wanted to keep me in this holding pattern, believing that nothing was going to get better, believing that this is just what life is and I just have to live with it, believing that I have to find a way to cope versus finding a way to heal. Because when people have coping mechanisms, sometimes the coping mechanisms could be food. Sometimes it could be alcohol. Sometimes it could be drugs. Mine was definitely sex at the time. And thank God that that's no longer the case. I found better ways to cope than just like mindlessly putting myself underneath somebody. But I've noticed that there's a difference between when I was trying to cope versus when I decided to get healed. When I decided to get healed, I knew that I didn't want to cope. I didn't want to be okay with certain things. I wanted it to be gone. I wanted it to be that I was in a state of peace over it, that I wasn't fussing about it, that I wasn't in full-blown like panic attack over certain things. And so there's no set time on how the healing happens or when it happens. Like I said, I've said this before, time heals is a lie. Because if you make a choice to do nothing during that time, if you make a choice to just lay in bed and just, I don't want to move, I don't want to do anything, well, yeah, time is still going to pass. But 10 years could pass and you'll be in the same spot because you didn't address what needed to be healed. And so I made a very smart decision, I would say, to continue. I made a very smart decision to move past anything that was trying to come upon me. I made a very smart decision to choose a different lifestyle, choose a different path, and to choose to begin to heal, to address it. What does that look like? Healing wasn't just internal. It was the physical. It was exercising, getting fresh air, going outside. It was writing things out. But a good part of it was also healing and prayer, or music and prayer. A good part of the healing was music and praying, the small prayers. I love when I meet people that are like, I'm not religious, so I don't really do all that. And I'm like, it don't take much. It don't have to be how you see pastors and preachers, oh, I praise you, Lord, and like doing these long, drawn out prayers. In my darkest moments, my best prayers were, God, help me. And I know I've spoken about this before. It was literally, God, I need you. God, I can't do this. Those were my most powerful prayers. Those were the best prayers that I prayed. Now, have I evolved since then? Yes. We should all say the same. But when I was first starting out, it wasn't much because I was still just getting to know God, getting to know who He was at the same time. But music, God spoke to me through music. There wasn't a situation that I didn't have a song for. I went to school for gospel choir. That's why I went to my school. I mentioned this a couple episodes ago that I chose my university based on the fact that I was going to go to gospel choir. And I did gospel choir for 4 years. My whole time I was there, I did it for every single time, every single year. And it was a big part of my healing. I would remember those days when I was in gospel choir. I would remember how those songs used to make me feel. I remember going through that, and there's certain songs that I couldn't listen to anymore when I got saved. Like R&B music. R&B music used to have me in a chokehold. But for a time being, I had to put away some of those songs. It wasn't necessarily forever. For some people, it's forever. But for me, it wasn't necessarily forever. But a lot of the songs that I used to listen to were tied up in memories. You know, sometimes when a song plays and you're just like, ooh, I remember where I was. Yeah, that was me. But sometimes where I was underneath somebody else. Sometimes where I was on the phone with my boyfriend at the time who was cheating, telling me he's cheating. And so some of those songs held negative memories for me. And in order to heal, I couldn't walk with these negative memories. I had to release them. And so I had to turn off a lot of those songs and turn on gospel songs. And sometimes at the moment, gospel songs were just too cheery for me. Like it was just too much happiness. And I wasn't sure I wanted all that happiness just yet. I wasn't at that space where I was ready to receive the happiness. Sometimes when you're in such a dark space, you're just like, why are you so happy? And like, I just need to be in this darkness for a bit, and so I can't take on the happiness. But what I found was I found a love for Christian R&B music. I found a love for songs that gave me the vibes that I wanted, but spoke better things. That wasn't speaking about sex, or speaking about relationships or about God, right? One of my favorite artists, and I really want people to take him in. One of my favorite artists is a artist named Christon Gray. His albums his School of Rose album, the first one, those songs, I had it on replay till I couldn't have it on replay no more. Like, those songs really helped pull me out of the depression, really helped pull me out of the sadness. Like, it soothed me so much with his melodic songs, and like, it was just such a blessing to have his songs to turn to. And I was just so grateful for just the fact that he was Christian too, because I had never heard of no Christian R&B. You know what I'm saying? Like, I only knew of gospel choirs and all this happy music, and I needed songs that fit with my mood, fit with my personality, and that's why I loved R&B music so much. And so to see somebody who is not even like his songs were all about God, it was the fact that he was a Christian singing songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, his songs were relatable. It wasn't all Jesus this, Jesus that. His songs were relatable to who he was and the experiences that he had. But he happened to be Christian, so he didn't curse in his music. He didn't necessarily talk about sex in his music. Like, he wasn't trying to get freaky deaky with nobody. Like, he was just talking about real life. And his music was a huge part of my healing. Like, a huge part. And for those who love music, music is so powerful when it comes to healing. I always say the three things that helped me through getting through grief was music, prayer, and writing. Those three things were the main sources. Exercising, walking, all those other stuff came after. Because whenever I was super sad, I would turn on music. Whenever I didn't feel like moving, I would turn on music. And the music would help me, make me feel better, and get me to a point where, like, okay, now I can talk. Or, okay, now I'm like in a better space or a better mood that I can eat food or do whatever else I need to do. And here's a miracle. Here's something that God did for me. So, Christon Gray being my absolute favorite artist, like, in the whole world today, he's still one of my favorite artists. Y'all need to find him on YouTube, on Instagram. Like, I love him so dearly. I have a friend, and my friend is like a music. He writes music. He's like a producer. He's in the music scene. Let's say that. And I met him and his wife during this time that a whole bunch of stuff was happening. They were with me before my son passed, and they were with me through when my son passed. Like, they are my favorite couple. Like, I have like favorite people. They are like top one of my favorite people. And so I met them one day, and I was talking about the healing process and how I'm getting through it, and one of my favorite artists, and like how his songs really helped me. And it just so happened that my friend was friends with Christon Gray. And I nearly lost my shit. I was like, ain't no way. Like, that is so dope. And so during this process that I was going through, the grief, I was writing my story out. I was writing my first book, my memoir. And I was writing all these little stories and putting it all together. And for my book launch, I can be over the top, y'all. I wanted something extravagant. I didn't want an ordinary book launch. I didn't want just people to come and reading the book and like I'm signing copies. Nah, I wanted all parts of me there. Like, I'm a creative, and so I wanted live painting to be there. I wanted music. I wanted poetry. I wanted everything to be at this book launch. I wanted to set it off. And I wanted the atmosphere to be just an ode to the arts, essentially. And one of these crazy ideas that I got was, I'm like, hey, what if this artist came and sang at my book launch? Because he was a huge part of my growth. He was a huge part of me even just getting to this point, or me writing. And so how special would it be that he's a part of the release of my book launch, the release of my book, I mean. And so I talked to my friend who talked to him. And y'all, we made it happen. They made it happen. And I promised them that as I grow and as I build whatever God is asking me to build, that I was always let people know the beginning. I would always tell people about them. I would always shine a light on his music, because his music definitely helped to get me to the other side of healing. And I'm just so in awe that when I was listening to his music, that when I was in such a dark space, I could have never imagined that A, I would meet him, but B, that he would be at my book launch. Like, it was such a miracle that God did. And sometimes I feel like I don't big up enough things that God does. I feel like sometimes I'm like, it happens and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. And then I go back to forgetting it when times get hard. And I'm just bigging up the fact that God hears my prayers. And he's been hearing my prayers since the beginning. And little things like that, like, it's little to him, but it was big to me. He will make happen, and he will show me you're worth so much more. I am here with you. Like, I've never left you. When in the times when a lot of my friends couldn't understand what I was going through, and so they kind of went back to their regular lives, and I still had to just figure it out. God was there. God never left my side, even when it felt like sometimes I was alone. Whenever I said, God help, that peace came right back on me, and I knew that I was going to be okay. And I'm going to make that the cover. For this episode, I'm going to make when I met him the cover, because y'all, I was geeking. Like, it was such a dope moment for me. I'm just like, I'm so blessed and honored that the thing that helped me get through also helped me celebrate when I got to a moment of accomplishment. Now, that wasn't all. It wasn't like this big book launch happened and depression was gone and all that. Depression for me went away in waves. And I didn't know this. I thought you kind of just get through depression all at once. You're just like, either you're depressed or you're not. But for my life, the pattern that it took was there's different levels, different waves. So I came out of like a deep, dark depression of not wanting to move. And then it went into like, okay, like I was still kind of sad. But I was managing better. I was handling my emotions better. I wasn't having the panic attacks, and all the anxiety and stuff had kind of like subsided. Like, that had gone away. But it's still, sometimes the sadness would come in waves and it would just hit me at random times. And then I had to heal through that. That was like another level of healing. I said, okay, great. I got through one. When I thought I was healed from that, something would hit me and kind of stunt my growth and make me feel like I wasn't healed. But no, there was just another level to that depression that I came out of. And so then I'll go through another wave of it, talk it out, write it out, music, pray, all that stuff. But now I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to exercise. I'm starting to focus on my nutrition and stuff. And so the healing really came in like waves for me. Like I healed in different parts, but I was still conscious about making the decision to get to the other side of healing. Now, here's something really cool that happened most recently. Well, I don't know if it's cool or not, but we're in the month of April, and my son's birthday is coming up. It'll be on the 24th of this month. And I had gone through, usually I would like know ahead of time, I would plan something or do something. I anticipate that this day's coming, and so I try to like catch myself ahead of time. Well, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, hey, I didn't even realize it was April. That was the first thing. I forgot that it was April. And she's like, okay. I'm like, my son's birthday is coming up, and I completely forgot. And it wasn't in a like, oh my gosh, freak out, I forgot about his birthday. It was like, man, I'm so at peace that I'm not anxiously anticipating his birthday, what I'm going to do, all this other stuff. I'm not freaking out over it. Like, I'm truly at a place where I'm like, cool, his birthday's coming up. Yo, let's do something. But it's not a moment of like confusion or chaos. And so the other side of healing, the other side of grief, which is healing, is a beautiful space to be. I encourage so many people to consciously want this and strive for it and work towards it, because it can happen. It is possible. Grief is not something we were meant to live with. I know that. Grief was not something we're meant to just get used to. It's a part of life. No. We can still honor the person and be outside of grief. We can still honor the person's life and not have to be sad or feel guilty about being happy. Like, we can truly be in a space where we are at peace for everything that is happening, and we start celebrating all the little things and the big things that's happening in our lives. That we start breathing again. We remember to breathe. We remember to take care of ourselves. We remember to walk forward and to not get caught up in the things around us. We remember that we are people first, and that the fact that we're still here, the fact that we get up every day, we still have a purpose in this earth. If we had no purpose, we'd be dead. If our purpose was cut short, we'd be dead. And so the gratitude over being in this space, the gratitude over healing. And I'm so grateful that I did. It is such, I couldn't see it at the time, but it is such a beautiful space to be. The colors are brighter, they're more vibrant. My smile is bigger. Like, I'm in a space where God has really pulled me out of the deepest depths, where I no longer am yearning to die, but I am searching and wanting to live. So welcome to the other side of grief. There is healing, there is happiness, and there is beauty here. And you belong here. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola. I am so excited that you are here. If anything I said today resonated, then get in touch with me. I have an amazing mentorship program. It is for those who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, going through grief. It is truly an amazing time. If you want more info, hit my website, lipsandlanguage.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit it up on the website or DM me. I have a free gift for you, and I would love to be in contact with you. Whatever you decide, just know that healing, it looks good on you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this journey together. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you, I will. I love you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.